It's 5. Everyone got so quiet. Welcome to the Board of Education September 5th, 2024 regular session meeting. Please stand as we observe a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Reverend Butler.
For this evening, I would ask that we just think about those that school shooting in Georgia, those students and teachers and their families. Face the flag. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just have a few announcements before we get into our agenda. Mr. Wright will not be in attendance tonight due to out-of-town travel. And board members, I want to thank you again for electing me as board chair on Tuesday. I'm honored to serve in this role again this year, and will do my best to represent you well. I know that we all have different jobs and schedules, so I wanted to provide all of you with an up-to-date fall schedule of events. That includes all of our board meetings, workshops, policy review meetings, and TSBA meetings, and that can be found at your seats. The majority of what's listed is included on our annual calendar, which is always available on our webpage, but I did want to publicly mention the following meetings we have coming up. You have been invited to the Tennessee Valley Business Fair Luncheon. That's tomorrow at noon. So if you need any of those details again, just let Ms. Coatney know. On Tuesday, September 24th, TSBA will hold its Fall District East meeting at Greenback Public School, and Ms. Coatney will be sending detailed information for that as soon as possible. Our next policy review meeting will be Friday, September 27th at 10 a.m. in this boardroom. And because the way the calendar fell this year, our work session for review of our October 3rd regular session agenda will be on Monday, September 30th. And finally, please note that our annual workshop has been rescheduled to October 24th and 25th in order to accommodate as many of our schedules as possible. It's difficult every year to find 2 consecutive days that work perfectly for all 9 of us, but after considering all the options, I believe those dates were best and worked for most of us. And thank you to everyone who's in attendance this evening. Okay, on to changes to the agenda. Please note that agenda item 6C2 has been withdrawn. The hope was to have the final legal form contract by this evening, but unfortunately it was not received with the recommended changes incorporated, so that has been pulled for this month. And do we have any other requested changes? Ms. Christie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since Mr. Wright is unable to be with us tonight, and also to allow our newest board members a little more time to work with the law department, I would like to request that the agenda items 7O and 7S be deferred, and that those policies, which are J110 and J210, be added to our policy review packet on September 27th.
September 27th. All right. Do we have any other? Second? Okay. So we have a motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Ms. Bike. All those in favor of approving?
Question.
Yes.
Can you say that again, please? You said
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm asking that policies J110 and J210, which I believe that was the equal educational opportunities and the harassment of students policies that some of people had questions about the legal language in. I'm asking them they be pulled from tonight's agenda and added to the September 27th policy review agenda to give people more time to have the discussion with the law department.
I think that's a good change, so we have more time to go over those. So do we have any other changes to the agenda? We do have a motion and a second then. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll get right into our agenda this evening. We are going to start off with a special recognition of Miss Elkins. Welcome, Miss Elkins. I love starting meetings off with special recognitions. It's happy. Hello, Dr. Wilson.
These are always fun.
Yes, they are.
So, Madam Chair, members of the board, I'm excited to come before you tonight and celebrate a huge accomplishment by one of our educators. I know that each of you would agree that we are blessed to have some of the best teachers in the state right here in Knox County. And while we get to witness their work on a regular basis, it's always gratifying to see them receive recognition and affirmation from outside the district for the amazing work that they do. So tonight we're excited to celebrate Miss Natalie Elkins. Last month, the Tennessee Department of Education recognized Miss Elkins as the East Grand Division Teacher of the Year. Miss Elkins is a performing arts teacher at Holston Middle School, whose students have performed at Dollywood and Walt Disney World. Several of you may remember that just this week, Holston students performed the national anthem at the Knox County installation ceremony, where our newly elected Knox County government officials were sworn in. Many of you got to take part in that. Under Miss Elkins' leadership, the Holston Show Choir has become pretty well known within the district for their musical productions each year. And during Miss Elkins' tenure at Holston Middle, more than 16,000 community members have watched her students perform. And last April, they presented their 15th Broadway-style musical. As a former Holston teacher myself, and very briefly as a colleague of Miss Elkins, I'm especially proud of her continued dedication and passion for her work, and thankful for the opportunities she's providing to the students of Holston Middle through her program. I'd like to ask you guys to please join me in congratulating Miss Natalie Elkins.
Thank you all so much, and it is an honor to be a part of the Knox County school system. I see a lot of familiar faces up here, a lot of names that we've worked together for a long time on a lot of big projects, and so I thank each of you for the support that you've given. And especially I want to thank Katie Lutton, who is amazing and wonderful, and every wild dream that I have ever had, Katie has been full gusto, and I am so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to Knox County Schools, and just appreciate everything that you all do for our kids and also for our teachers. So thank you very much.
Congratulations again, well deserved. All right, Ms. Coatney, we'll get right into our agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 6, consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Mr. Triplett. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there is no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 7A, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy C-220, automated external defibrillator as amended.
Second.
Motion by Reverend Butler, second by Ms. Christie. Is there any discussion? Ms. Christie?
Yeah, so can I make a motion to waive second reading as required by Board Policy B-200 and approve items 7A, 7B, 7C, and 7D regarding Board Policy C-220, 221, 222, and I-213 on first reading as amended.
Do we have a second for that? Second by Reverend Butler. Let's go. Okay. What's that?
Substitute motion.
Substitute motion? Is that a substitute motion? Yes. Okay. All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7E, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy B-230, Civility Code as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Christie, second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion on this item? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7F, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy E-170, Student Transportation Management as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Mr. Triplett. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7G, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy G-120, Professional Growth Opportunities as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Is there any discussion on this item?
I have a question.
Yeah, Ms. Pike.
Thank you. And I can't remember if we talked about this at our work session. I got a few emails, it seems like from some concerned teachers. Was this one that needed to be changed because of a law change? Or did this come from some specific, that might be for Mr. Dupler.
Mr. Dupler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Pike. Yes, this change was directly as the result of de-escalation training that was required by a new law with the legislature.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so this verbiage would just be in accordance with that?
That's correct. And actually, there's two laws involved in this one, and then there was another policy that involves substitutes. But I mean, the other one law required the de-escalation training, and then the other law required yearly training for substitute teachers. So, yes.
Is the de-escalation training, is that defined anywhere, a specific training by the state or the Department of Education?
The law only stated that it would be coming from the Department of Safety, Tennessee Department of Safety. I don't know at this point if that is available yet.
Okay, so this isn't something where will we be tracking who has done it? Is there a process for that yet?
I think that's probably a Dr. Reiswick question, but certainly I would say that the law does require tracking because it has to be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Reswick.
I'll grab the mic to pass it to, I'm not sure who wants it. Dr. Brown, do you want, or do you want Jennifer? So the tracking question, Jennifer, might be yours. Or
I see your lights on, you're ready.
It is required, and we do train our subs, so I'm assuming it's part of our sub training, but I'll pass it to you, Andrew.
That's a Ms. Himmelgarn question, Madam Chair, Ms. Pike. Thank you, Dr. Reiswick. I was actually going to speak to the de-escalation training because that does fall within our school culture department. We have not received any kind of guidance from the State Department yet as to what that is. We use TCI currently, and our department will be prepared to train our staff, but we don't know what that looks like. And yes, we will track that, just like we do with all of our required trainings every year, sexual harassment, all those type of things. We have sign-in sheets to make sure we track that every employee is trained in those areas.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any more questions or discussion on this item? Okay, seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7H, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy G-470, Substitute Teachers as amended.
Motion by Ms. Christie, second by Ms. Fontenot Ridley. Is there any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7I, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy I-130, Work-Based Learning as amended.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7J, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy I-190, Organization for Instruction as amended.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7K, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy I-210, Textbook and Instructional Materials Selection, Distribution, and Care as amended.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Is there any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7L, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy I-222, Internet Safety as amended.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7M, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy I-340, Promotion, Retention, Acceleration as amended.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7N, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy I-370, Graduation Requirements as amended.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Is there any discussion? All right, since there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7O was deferred. 7P, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy J150, School Admissions as amended.
Motion by Ms. Christie, second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7Q, approve first reading of a Knox County Board of Education Policy J191, Misbehaviors and Disciplinary Options as amended.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7R, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy J197, Student Interference with the Classroom as amended.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7S was deferred. 7T, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy J211, Harassment, Intimidation, and Bullying or Cyberbullying as amended.
A motion by Reverend Butler, second by Ms. Christie. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7U, approve first reading of Knox County Board of Education Policy J280, Alternative School Programs as amended.
Motion by Ms. Christie. Second by Mr. Triplett. Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
8A, approve state-required ESSER 3.0 fiscal year 2025 budget overview and final spend plan in the amount of $40,301,360.81.
A motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7B, approve memorandum of understanding with Knox County Health Department and receipt of funding up to $540,800 for the in-school health program for the term of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
A motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion on this item? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
7C, approve memorandum of agreement with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Tennessee Valley and receipt of up to $105,207.17 in funding from a 2024-2025 21st Century Community Learning Center grant for extended learning programs at Dogwood Elementary School, Norwood Elementary School, and South Knox Elementary School.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Mr. Triplett. Any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
8D, approve memorandum of understanding with United Way of Greater Knoxville Incorporated regarding tutoring services through June 30th, 2025, and receipt of grant funding up to $100,000.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
8E, approve elementary school dental program agreement with Elgin Children's Foundation for the term of July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, and an Elgin Children's Foundation grant up to $8,000 for student transportation costs associated with the program.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
8F, approve memorandum of understanding with Knox Education Foundation for grant funding in the amount of $20,000 for the Knox County Schools Elevate program for the 2024-2025 school year.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
8G, approve donation from the Titans Foundation with a total value of $97,400 for the establishment of KCS High School girls flag football programs.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
8H, approve donation agreement with the Big History Project LLC for the term of August 1, 2024 through July 31st, 2025, and receipt of donation in the amount of $10,000 for the KCS Social Studies Department.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
9A, approve contract with Certified Generator Service for provision of generator maintenance and repair services not to exceed an annual cost of $25,000 for the term of October 1, 2024 through September 30th, 2025, which may be extended for 4 additional years.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
10A, approve fiscal year 2025 school nutrition budget line item transfer in the amount of $35,000.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Do we have any discussion? Seeing there's none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
10B, approve fiscal year 2024 school nutrition fund year-end budget adjustment in the amount of $867,100.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
10C, approve fiscal year 2024 general purpose year-end budget adjustment in the amount of $5,203,590.
Motion by Ms. Christie, a second by Reverend Butler. Any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
10D, approve employee health insurance premium rates for 2025 to reflect employer covering entire increase.
Motion by Reverend Butler, a second by Ms. Christie. Any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
10E, approve adjustment to school zone in one subdivision for students attending Hardin Valley Elementary School, Farragut Primary School, and Farragut Intermediate School.
Second. Motion by Ms. Christie, second by Betsy? Any discussion? Seeing there is none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Triplett, do we have some public forum speakers?
We do.
Tonight?
Aaron Free. Aaron, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you'll have 3 minutes.
All right, thank you, everyone. My name is Aaron Free, and I'm a county resident of Knox County. This is my first time speaking at the board, so sorry for my nervousness. So my name is Aaron Free, and I practice as a licensed mental health master level therapist who specializes in trauma therapy, LGBT issues, and currently work in a school setting. I'm here tonight to address the recent Tennessee state policy requiring school administrators to inform legal guardians and parents if students request to use different names or pronouns than those on their birth certificate. Leaked documents on social media from the district show that the district suggested teachers withhold information about these policies from students until the students have already disclosed their identity. And this practice not only breaches the principle of informed consent, but also disregards the significant risks associated with prematurely outing students. As a mental health professional, I am ethically bound to inform clients about the limits of confidentiality and when I would be legally required to breach it. This district policy fails to provide students with the crucial information they need to make informed decisions about their safety and well-being. According to research, LGBTQ youth are about 120 times more likely to experience homelessness as compared to their non-LGBT peers. Research also shows that about 30% of youth who were outed to their parents experienced significantly higher levels of depressive symptoms and received less support from their families as compared to peers who were not outed. These statistics underscore the grave risks faced by LGBT students who are not yet ready to come out. The idea behind this bill, that parents should be aware of everything in their child's life, is just that, an ideal. Not every home is safe, especially for LGBT kids. I've witnessed firsthand the severe consequences youth and even adults face when outed. A close personal friend of mine, his own mother, put lit cigarettes out on his back, thinking that that would stop him from being gay. I'm keenly aware of the risks of abuse, neglect, abandonment, and even suicide as it relates to outing. These policies are a flagrant disregard for the well-being of vulnerable students. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. I urge the board and the district to take immediate action to ensure all students are informed about this policy and provide students the option to withdraw their request so they will not be outed, so they have the decision whether or not to disclose this personal information. Without decisive action and guidance from LGBT and mental health professionals, this district risks causing irreparable harm to many young lives. It's time to act with dignity and compassion. Thank you.
Candace Bannister.
May I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Sir, what policy were you speaking to? Do you have a policy number?
The state policy.
You were mentioning a policy.
Mr. Butler, I think it's a state law. I'm not sure we have it in policy.
Okay, so you weren't speaking to a school board policy.
There was a draft of best practices proposed by the district that was leaked on social media, and in the document, whoever wrote the document, it suggested that the teachers not disclose this new state law to students and to instead allow the students to disclose their identity first and then inform them of the policy after they've already spilt the milk, basically.
So I guess my question is this a school board policy?
I don't believe it is because it's a state law, not a school board. We don't have a school board policy on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Candace, if you'll state your name and county residence, you'll also have 3 minutes.
Candace Bannister, Knox County resident. About a month after Will's memorial service, I received a text from one of his friends. He said he was having a hard time with Will's death. He wanted to know if it would be okay to come over to our house to maybe look at some pictures or look around Will's room or just even talk to us on Sunday afternoon, and could he bring a friend. We said, of course. When they arrived, I asked if they wanted to see pictures or look at Will's room, and he said he'd just like to talk to us and that even seeing us up and dressed helped him because if we can do it, that means he can do it too. He said he was having trouble sleeping at night, and I asked if he told his parents about that. He said he had. I told him Mark and I were seeing a therapist and that maybe that would be helpful for him too, as it provided a place to talk about all that he was feeling. He said his parents had offered that, but there was something that was bothering him, and I asked him what it was. He said, I don't think Will was treated well at school. I asked, who isn't treating Will well at school? He said, not students. Everybody loved Will, and we were so happy he was back at school. Will was kind to everyone. He was a friend to everybody. His friend added, what was it the yearbook said? 1,794 students, something like that. Everybody loved Will. I asked, then who isn't treating Will well? He said the name of the executive principal. So I asked, what is he doing to not treat Will well? He said he isn't just not treating him well. He's mistreating Will. He's targeting him. I asked, what do you mean? He said he would call Will out in the hallway. If there was a whole group of us together, he never said, hey, guys. He always said, hey, Will. I think he got others to do it, too, even some teachers. I asked, why do you think he would do this? He said, well, Will was different. He stood out because he wanted Will to know he was watching him. I asked, do you think it's because back in November someone called the sheriff's hotline and anonymously reported that Will had drugs at school? Maybe they thought he had drugs. He said, no, Will would never do that. He never had drugs at school. I think he did it to call Will out. Will couldn't walk through the halls without some teacher or principal calling his name. I think he kept doing it until he just tore him down. I told him that Will had told me about the visitor in 2 of his classes for 10 to 15 minutes on his first day back to school and again a couple of days later. He said Will knew he was in there to watch him. He never comes into a classroom to stand around. Will knew he was the reason they came to watch. He went on to tell me about open mic night just a week before Will died. He said this admin came and stood at the end of the row they were sitting on and watched Will. He said he could tell it made Will feel bad because he knew he was being watched. I thanked him for telling us this. I asked if they wanted to go ahead now and look at pics or go to Will's room. He said no, but thank you for letting us come over. We hugged their necks and they left. How would you feel if someone told you this about your child? This man is a bully, and the bullying continued until Will took his life. Bullies should never be put in prominent leadership positions. Remember, you say you don't tolerate this on any basis, but you do. Thank you.
Allie Chapman. Allie, if you'll state your name and county of residence, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm Allie Chapman. I'm a resident of Knox County and a parent of a former Knox County student. I serve as the Knox County Chair for Tennessee Equality Project, and we're a 20-year organization dedicated to tracking legislation and local policies impacting LGBTQ Tennesseans, including students. A little bit of background real fast. I'm a trained researcher and a public policy nerd, focused on policies for the last 9 years, analyzing and tracking anything that's related to LGBTQ issues for kids, both the intended outcomes, the unintended consequences as well. I'm really glad that at the beginning of this meeting you decided to move off the policies that were under their first review related to equal education and harassment, because those are significant, have big impacts for students. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but some of the things I wanted to point out with that are not clear is the Tennessee Teacher Code of Ethics law, both in its original form and its amended form, does not mandate that school districts must comply and align their language with that. And then the other thing is there's no state law that mandates or prohibits schools from retaining or including that language in their policies. So I think that's something to look at as well when you're evaluating the language in that policy. Something else, obviously I wanted to talk about that policy, but I do want to, mention a little bit. Aaron did an excellent job talking about the memorandum that went out to principals, and I've reached out to all the board members who were on the board at the time, and I received no replies. As a person in the community, as a resource, I've offered multiple times to have conversations or bring people to the table who are stakeholders and involved, impacted by these very real policies that are happening. The memorandum that went to all principals, I have a copy of it here. There are many very alarming things with this that we need to talk about as a community, and we need for you to please speak with stakeholders that are impacted by this, and that would be your students and your teachers and your school employees, right? Because I know that teachers, by and large, love their kids. They're here to educate, and this is not that. This memorandum is not that. This does need to be a policy to comply with the law. You can do that and still care for the kids. So I would love to hear from somebody on the board at some point to reach out who wants to have a conversation about the memorandum. I do think there's a way that we can comply with the law and still take care of children. Thank you.
Lance McColl. Lance, if you'll state your name and county residence, you'll have 3 minutes.
Lance McColl, Knox County. I wanted to welcome the new board members and thank you all new and or board members for serving our community. One of the things that many people don't learn, and I certainly didn't learn in school, was that how it came to be that we had public schools. Public schools were not a thing at the founding of our nation. The only people who got educated in those days were the children of rich white men. And it took us to have a revolution, a civil war, before we realized that it was important to treat every person, including women, as equal citizens. And part of recognizing that everybody need to be treated equal was establishing public schools. And that's why it exists in every constitution, the constitution of every state in the union, including Tennessee's. So in order for a nation to actually serve, to be a real democracy, we have to have students who are prepared to be active members of the community and to know how to make decisions, all the things that our public schools are about. So as school board members, you are serving a sacred duty to our democracy because you are the people who decide what's good for our schools. And just like any board, the board of a corporation or anything else, your duty as a fiduciary is to decide what is best for Knox County schools. There are all kinds of people out there telling us that we should be doing this and that thing, but the decision really that everything should come down to is what is good for public schools. Public schools, because without public schools, we have no way of educating our people. There is no other mechanism that ever be. And one of the popular things, talking points, is choice. And choice is really interesting because if we did not have public schools, most people would have no choice. The existence of public schools for everybody makes choice a possibility. So I want you to, I encourage you, please, to keep that in your mind as you make all the decisions you do. And thank you so much for your service.
Madam Chair, that concludes public forum.
Thank you. And new board members, you made it through your first voting meeting. Congratulations.
Less than an hour.
In less than an hour. And with that, we are adjourned. Good night.